Hi, I'm Mike Glenn, Senior Pastor of Brentwood Baptist Church, and this is the series that we're talking about stewardship. Now, when you hear the word stewardship, most Baptists reach for their wallet, but we're talking about stewardship in the entirety of the meaning. Your life, your mission, your talent, your resources. But to kind of help us get started with probably the hardest, most embarrassing part, my friend Rachel Cruz is going to be talking to us and asking some questions and help us think about how we handle our money. Okay, Rachel, I did Kairos for a bunch of years, and we have a lot of young people in our campuses. Yep. Their first response to me is, "Oh, Mike, I don't do money."
The dread of the
that's
subject.
Right. I don't do money. I don't kind of know where it goes. I just kind of pay my bills and hope there's enough. So for those people who have a money phobia, well, not a money phobia, a money handling phobia, or dealing with money phobia.
Right.
Everybody feels pretty good about handling money if they get to keep enough of it. So where do we start?
Yes. Well, I think one of the hardest things is that fear can arise when there's such an unknown.
Right.
So when you don't know what's going on, I mean, some people don't even know how much they make after taxes, right? They don't know how much they're spending on food. And so if that is you, then there is going to be a lot of anxiety and fear towards the subject because you've not brought it into the light, so to speak, because there is all this unknown. And so what I always tell people to do first and foremost is get all the numbers out. So if there's debt that you have, get it out and figure out, okay, how much do we owe in our credit cards? How much do we owe on our cars, student loans? And then look at your debt, and then also look at your expenses. Because again, the fear of at the grocery store, going to pay for food, or out at a restaurant, and you're like, I think this is okay, I'm spending this much, but I don't know. And so writing down exactly what you spend every month. And so that what that creates is a budget. And so I tell people to do this, to look back in the last 3 months and average out your main categories. Things like your rent or your mortgage, utilities, food, transportation, like gas and insurance for your car, everything from cell phone, if you go out to the movies, if you go to concerts, I mean, whatever you spend money on, go and figure out as much as you can, just a rounded average of, okay, this is what I think I spent. And then what you can do is look at that and see your spending habits and say, okay, does that match up with how much I'm making per month? Because your goal is to live on less than you make. And so for a budget, an effective budget is a zero-based budget, which means your income minus your expenses equals zero. So every dollar coming in is assigned to a category. Now I say expenses, but that includes giving and that includes saving in that number as well.
Right.
And so really starting off there. And so we have an app called Every Dollar. So download that because it's amazing, Mike. Just figuring out, okay, this is what we spend every month, and here are our boundaries towards spending, and then also figuring out how much debt we have. Just bringing those numbers to light gets you a handle of your financial situation, again, versus it being unknown.
Yeah, and the side benefit of this is, especially if you're newly married, is that if one person is controlling the money, then there's a power thing, and if the other person doesn't know, then there's an anxiety thing. So guys, listen to me. The number one need in a wife is security. She has to know she's safe, emotionally, physically, financially safe. And the best way to do that is put it out on the table. Yeah, some of it is embarrassing. Some of it, I'm spending a little too much money here. But there's that mutual accountability and
the communication.
Right.
And I find especially couples, whether you're newlyweds or you're not, when you start sitting down and doing that budget together, what that reveals and what it reveals about your life and your idols, as you know, you like to say, it reveals so much of your heart and where you're at. But then when you decide together, okay, we're going to do this together as a team.
Different kind of power.
Yes, you create the same goals, you create the same dreams together. And that's the fun part of marriage,
That's right.
is to get together and say, and now one of you obviously is going to be more naturally inclined to do a budget, for instance. We always call those people the nerds. Like they love Excel, they love everything's folded in all their drawers, like they're just neat and tidy. And that's usually the person who's responsible for the money because they're good at it. Yeah. And then the other
That's usually not the creative one.
No. And the other people are the free spirits. And this is actually more like me.
I wonder who that could be in my marriage. I don't know who would be the creative free spirit.
Right. And that person, the idea of a budget, that makes you want to like break out in hives, right? You're like, I don't want to do this. But you both coming together, knowing your strengths, but still agreeing. So I love that you brought that up. It's so true. If you are married, do your budget together. Yeah. And what I find too, my husband and I, we just did ours just 2 nights ago for the next coming month. And it forces also you to look at schedules and what's going on in the month because your budget will change month to month depending on what you're doing. And for us to say, I was like, oh, I need to buy 2 baby shower gifts. Like, baby showers, who's having a baby? And I'm like, okay, well, I get, like, it's just amazing what gets brought up in conversation.
Yeah.
And
those are the things that give you the whammies. Is that $50 gift you didn't plan for?
Exactly,
and all
yes,
that
exactly.
messes with you.